The Galactic Council chamber had never been this full. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the giant circular hall. Humans, reptilians, insect-like species, machine delegates, and creatures that looked stranger than imagination itself sat in rows that stretched high into the walls. Above them floated massive holographic screens showing stars, planets, and trade routes across the galaxy. Everyone knew this meeting was important, but nobody expected what was about to happen. At the center of the chamber stood the council speaker, a tall, silver-skinned alien named Varric. His voice echoed through the hall. Representatives of the galaxy, today's emergency session will now begin. The room became silent. Many eyes turned toward the human section. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council only 20 years earlier. Compared to most civilizations, humans were newcomers. They had strong industries, growing colonies, and impressive technology. But they were still considered small compared to the ancient empires that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Many alien leaders saw humans as useful workers. Nothing more. The giant screen behind Varric suddenly changed. A new document appeared. The title alone made the human representatives freeze. Proposal 7289. Transfer of human territorial rights. For a moment, nobody spoke. Several human delegates exchanged confused looks. Surely this had to be a mistake. Then Varric continued. The Council has approved discussion regarding the transfer of human control sectors to the Orion Trade Alliance. The silence shattered. Human delegates jumped from their seats. What? This is madness. You can't do that. Angry voices echoed through the chamber. The Orion Trade Alliance was one of the richest powers in the galaxy. For years, they had wanted access to human space because of its valuable resources and strategic location. Now, they were trying to take it legally. Several alien representatives laughed openly. One large reptilian ambassador leaned back in his chair. Humans should be honored, he said loudly. Their systems will finally be managed properly. Laughter spread through parts of the chamber. The human delegates were furious. Among them sat Ambassador Elena Ward. Unlike the others, she remained completely calm. She sat quietly in her chair, her hands folded together. Her face showed no anger, no fear, no surprise. She simply watched and smiled, a small smile, a calm smile, a dangerous smile. Across the chamber, an elderly alien representative noticed it. His four eyes widened slightly. He had spent decades studying human history. That smile reminded him of something. Every time humans had shown that expression before a major conflict, their enemies had regretted it. The old alien suddenly felt nervous, very nervous. Meanwhile, the debate continued. The Orion Alliance representative stood proudly. The human territories are underdeveloped, he announced. Our alliance can increase productivity by 300%. More angry shouts came from the human section. One human delegate pointed toward the speaker. You mean exploitation. The alien shrugged. We call it efficiency. Again, laughter spread through parts of the chamber. The council speaker raised a hand for silence. Order. The room slowly quieted. Then the voting process began. One by one, representatives announced their decisions. The first empire voted yes. The second voted yes. Then a third, and a fourth. Each vote felt like a hammer striking human hopes. The giant screen updated continuously. Yes, 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 yes. Human delegates stared in disbelief. How could this be happening? The Council's own rules were supposed to protect member civilizations. Yet now those same rules were being used against humanity. More votes appeared. The number kept growing. Many worlds supported the proposal because they feared the Orion Alliance. Others wanted access to human resources. Some simply believed humans were too weak to matter. The result became obvious long before the voting ended. Humanity was losing, badly, in the public observation galleries. Journalists transmitted the event across the galaxy. Billions watched. On Earth, families gathered around screens. Colonists on distant worlds watched from mining stations and research facilities. Every human citizen saw the same thing. Their future was being decided by people who did not care about them. The final votes arrived. The giant screen flashed. Approved. The chamber exploded with noise. Some representatives cheered. Others applauded. Members of the Orion Alliance smiled proudly. To them, this was a huge victory. Humanity had just lost control of its own future. Several human delegates looked defeated. Others looked furious. A few demanded another hearing, but the decision was official, or so everyone thought. Then a single sound echoed through the chamber, a chair sliding backward. Everyone turned. Ambassador Elena Ward had stood up. The room slowly became quiet. She walked calmly toward the center platform. Every step echoed through the chamber. No guard stopped her. No officials interrupted her. Something about her confidence made everyone hesitate. When she reached the platform, she looked around the enormous hall. Thousands of eyes stared back at her. Alien leaders expected shouting. They expected threats. They expected desperate arguments. Instead, Elena smiled again. The same calm smile. The old alien historian felt a chill run through his body. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Elena activated the central microphone. "My fellow representatives," she said softly. Her voice was calm. Yet somehow every corner of the chamber heard it clearly. "You have made your decision." Several Orion officials nodded proudly. "Yes," one of them said. "We have." Elena looked directly at him. Her smile widened slightly. "Good." The confidence in her voice made many representatives uncomfortable. The Orion ambassador frowned. "Good? Why would she say good?" Then Elena continued. "Before this vote becomes official, there's information the council needs to hear." The council speaker crossed his arms. "What information?" Elena glanced at the massive screens surrounding the chamber. "Information about humanity." Several aliens rolled their eyes. Others sighed impatiently. They thought this was simply another attempt to delay the vote. But Elena's expression never changed. It concerns the foundation of galactic civilization itself. Now the room became quieter. The old historian sat forward in his seat. Something in her tone felt important, very important. The council speaker frowned. "What exactly are you talking about?" Elena looked around the chamber one final time. Then she spoke the words that changed everything. "The galaxy believes humanity is young." Silence filled the room. "The galaxy believes humanity is weak." Nobody moved. "The galaxy believes humanity needs permission to exist." Even the journalists stopped speaking. Then Elena pointed toward the stars displayed on the giant holographic screen and said, "The truth is much simpler." Her smile returned, a smile that suddenly made hundreds of powerful leaders nervous. "We built all of this." The entire chamber froze. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke. For the first time since the meeting began, complete silence ruled the Galactic Council. And deep beneath the surface of Earth, something ancient finally began to wake up. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Nobody even blinked. The giant council chamber remained completely silent after Elena's words. "We built all of this." Then the silence shattered. Laughter exploded across the chamber. Alien representatives slapped their desks. Several officials nearly fell from their chairs laughing. The Orion Alliance delegates laughed louder than anyone else. One reptilian ambassador wiped tears from his eyes. "You," he said between laughs. "Humans built a galaxy?" More laughter followed. To them, the idea was ridiculous. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel a few centuries ago. At least that was what history said. The council speaker looked annoyed. "Ambassador Ward," he said, "this is not the time for jokes." Elena remained calm. She expected this reaction. In fact, she had counted on it. The louder they laughed, the harder the truth would hit them. Finally, the room quieted. The council speaker folded his arms. "If you have evidence, present it." Elena nodded. "I do." She removed a small silver device from her pocket. The object looked old, very old. Unlike modern technology, it had no glowing lights, no visible controls, no markings except a strange symbol carved into its surface. The symbol resembled a circle surrounded by 7 stars. The moment it appeared, several historians in the chamber frowned. The design looked familiar, but they could not remember where they had seen it before. Elena placed a device on the central platform. Then she pressed her hand against it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights across the chamber flickered. The giant holographic screens suddenly went dark. Gasps spread through the audience. Council technology was among the most advanced in the galaxy. Nothing should have been able to interfere with it. Yet every system had just shut down. The room grew uneasy. Then the screens came back online. But they were no longer displaying Council data. Instead, a star map appeared, an ancient star map. The image looked different from any modern chart. Its colors were faded. Its design was primitive, yet it showed the entire galaxy. Thousands of systems glowed across the display. The Council speaker frowned. "What is this?" "A historical archive," Elena replied. Several historians immediately stood. One insect-like scholar zoomed in on the image. His eyes widened. "This can't be real." The room became quiet again. "What is it?" someone asked. The scholar pointed toward a date in the corner of the archive. "It says this map was created over 4 million years ago." Shock spread through the chamber. That was impossible. No civilization in recorded history was that old. The oldest known empire had existed for only 200,000 years. Yet the archive claimed to be millions of years older. The Orion ambassador laughed again. "A fake." Many representatives nodded. That seemed like the obvious answer. But Elena simply touched the device once more. The map changed. Now thousands of glowing lines appeared between star systems. The entire galaxy lit up. Gasps echoed through the hall. Every major hyperspace route appeared on the screen. Every trade lane. Every travel corridor. Every connection between civilizations. The same routes used today. The same routes every ship relied on. Elena looked around the chamber. "Tell me something," she said. "Have any of you ever wondered why every hyperspace route follows perfect mathematical patterns?" Nobody answered. "Have you ever wondered why they connect resources so efficiently?" Still silence. Or why new routes are almost impossible to discover? The room became uncomfortable. Many scientists had asked those questions before. Nobody had found answers. Elena pointed toward the glowing network. Because they weren't naturally formed. Murmurs spread immediately. The Orion ambassador rolled his eyes. "Impossible." Elena ignored him. "They were built." This time nobody laughed. Not because they believed her. Because part of them suddenly feared she might be right. The giant display zoomed deeper into the map. A construction record appeared. Then another, and another. Millions of files flooded the screen. Ancient engineering reports. System development plans. Terraforming projects. Energy network designs. Entire solar systems under construction. The chamber became completely silent. Several scientists rushed toward their consoles. They began examining the data. Minutes passed. Then one scientist looked up. His face had turned pale. "The files are authentic." Shock hit the room. Another researcher checked the records. Then another. Each reached the same conclusion. The data was real. The archives were genuine. The room exploded into confusion. "That's impossible." "Who created them? Where did these come from?" Elena waited patiently. She knew the worst part was still coming. Eventually the council. Speaker raised his voice. "Order." The chamber slowly quieted. He turned toward Elena. "If these records are real, who built the routes?" Elena looked at the screen. Thousands of construction files floated above the chamber. Every file carried the same symbol. A circle surrounded by 7 stars. The same symbol carved into her device. The council speaker noticed it. "So, who does the symbol belong to?" Elena smiled. "That's the interesting part." She activated another file. A larger image appeared. This time it showed an enormous structure floating between stars. The structure dwarfed planets. Its design looked impossible. No known civilization possessed technology even close to it. Below the image appeared a title. "Property of the Builders." Murmurs filled the room. The Builders. Every species knew the name. They were legendary. Ancient stories claimed a mysterious civilization had once shaped the galaxy. Most scholars consider the stories myths, fairy tales, nothing more. Yet now physical evidence floated before their eyes. The Builders had been real. The chamber fell silent once again. The old historian slowly stood. His hands were shaking. I've spent my entire life studying builder legends. His voice trembled. And these records match every description. Fear spread through the audience. Not excitement. Fear. Because if the builders were real, then everything they knew about history was wrong. The Orion ambassador forced a laugh. Fine. He pointed toward Elena. The builders existed. His eyes narrowed. What does that have to do with humanity? Many representatives nodded. That was the real question. Elena had proven the builders existed, but she still had not connected them to humans. Elena looked directly at him. Then she pressed one final command. The symbol on the screen rotated slowly. Ancient letters appeared beneath it, letters written in a language older than any civilization alive. The Council's translation systems immediately activated and translated the text. The moment the words appeared, every living creature in the chamber froze. The screen displayed only 3 words. Human colonial authority. The room went completely silent. No laughter, no arguments, no movement, only shock, because for the first time, the impossible suddenly seemed real. And deep beneath Earth's surface, the ancient signal that had awakened moments earlier was now spreading across the galaxy. Something was listening, and something had finally answered. The words remained on the giant screen. Human colonial authority. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The entire Galactic Council chamber looked frozen. Thousands of representatives stared at the ancient symbol floating above them. Many wanted to believe it was fake, a trick, a carefully prepared lie. But the archive had already been verified. The records were real. The dates were real. The builder technology was real. And now every piece of evidence pointed toward the same impossible conclusion. Humanity was somehow connected to the builders. The Orion Alliance ambassador finally found his voice. No. His words echoed through the silent chamber. No, that's impossible. Several representatives immediately agreed. It has to be an error. The translation system failed. The archive is damaged. They desperately searched for another explanation. Any explanation. Elena simply stood quietly and watched. She had expected this reaction. The truth was too large, too dangerous, too unbelievable. The council speaker slowly rose from his chair. His face looked pale. If humanity truly created these structures, he said carefully, then explain something. Elena nodded. Go ahead. The speaker pointed toward the screen. Why does nobody remember? A wave of agreement moved through the chamber. That was the biggest problem. If humans had once built the galaxy, why had history forgotten them? Why had humanity itself forgotten? Elena remained silent for several seconds. Then she answered, because humanity chose to forget. The chamber erupted immediately. What? That makes no sense. Why would anyone do that? Elena raised a hand. Surprisingly, the room became quiet. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone needed answers. She touched the silver device again. The giant display changed. The star map disappeared. A new image appeared. This time it showed a beautiful civilization. Massive cities floated among the stars. Gigantic ring worlds surrounded suns. Artificial planets glowed like jewels. Entire nebulae had been transformed into energy farms. The scale was beyond imagination. Even the greatest empires of the modern galaxy looked primitive compared to it. Gasps filled the chamber. What is this place? Someone whispered. Elena's voice was calm. This was humanity. Silence returned. The image slowly moved through the ancient civilization. Countless worlds, countless people, countless wonders. Humanity had ruled a civilization larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. For a moment, nobody could look away. Then the image suddenly changed. The beautiful cities vanished. The glowing worlds disappeared. Darkness spread across the screen. A red warning symbol flashed. The chamber became tense. Something terrible had happened. Elena's expression grew serious. 4 million years ago, she said, humanity faced an enemy. The room listened carefully. No one knows where it came from. The display showed strange shadows moving between stars. Massive dark shapes drifted through the galaxy. Their appearance was unclear. Their form seemed to change constantly. Just looking at them made people uncomfortable. Several representatives shivered. "What are those?" someone asked. Elena slowly shook her head. "We never learned." The dark object spread across the screen. Entire star systems vanished. Cities disappeared. Planets fell silent. The ancient human civilization fought back. Gigantic fleets appeared. Weapons brighter than suns fired across space. But the enemy kept advancing. World after world fell. System after system vanished. The chamber watched in horror. This was not a war. It was extinction. Even the Orion Alliance representatives looked frightened now. The ancient builders had possessed unimaginable power. Yet even they had nearly been destroyed. The display finally showed humanity's leaders gathering for an emergency meeting. Thousands of years of history rested on their decision. Elena spoke quietly. They knew they could not win. The room remained silent. So they made a choice. The image zoomed toward a blue world. A familiar blue world. "Earth." Gasps spread through the chamber. "Earth," someone whispered. Elena nodded. Humanity hid. Confusion appeared everywhere. "What do you mean?" The image continued. Millions of survivors traveled toward Earth. Others scattered across distant regions of space. Every advanced technology database was erased. Every historical record was destroyed. Every trace of the builders vanished. Humanity intentionally wiped away its own past. The goal was simple. Survive. Hide. Wait. The council speaker stared at the screen. "You abandoned your civilization?" Elena looked directly at him. "We saved our species." Nobody argued. Looking at the destruction, they understood. Humanity had faced extinction. They had sacrificed everything to survive. The display changed again. Now it showed Earth through different ages. Ancient civilizations rising and falling. Kingdoms appearing and disappearing. Thousands of years passing. Humanity slowly forgot the truth. Generation after generation grew up, believing Earth was their beginning. The memory of the builders became legend, then myth, then nothing. The galaxy never realized the truth, because humanity itself no longer knew it, until recently. The Orion ambassador narrowed his eyes. "If humans forgot, how did you learn all this?" A good question. Perhaps the most important question. Elena smiled slightly. "Because some things were never forgotten." She activated another archive. A hidden facility appeared on the screen. It lay deep beneath Earth's surface, far below any modern city, far below any known military base. The structure looked ancient, older than history itself. The chamber stared. "What is that?" Elena's eyes focused on the image. A memory vault. The room became silent. A place created by the last builders. The facility contained records, knowledge, warnings, instructions, everything humanity would need when the time came. For millions of years, it had remained hidden, waiting, watching, sleeping, until 3 months ago. The council speaker frowned. What happened 3 months ago? Elena's expression hardened. The vault woke up. Fear spread through the chamber, because everyone suddenly realized something. If the vault had awakened, then something must have triggered it. Elena looked around the chamber. The system was designed to monitor the galaxy. Nobody moved. It would activate only if humanity faced a threat large enough to endanger its future. The realization hit many representatives at once. Slowly, painfully, the council speaker's face turned pale. The Orion ambassador looked nervous, very nervous. Elena continued, and when the council began discussing the sale of humanity, her voice echoed through the chamber. The vault classified the action as a civilization-level threat. The room froze, far away from the council chamber, far beyond any known hyperspace route. A forgotten station hidden inside a dark nebula suddenly came alive. Ancient lights illuminated corridors untouched for millions of years. Massive engines started for the first time since the age of the builders. And across the galaxy, thousands of similar signals began answering the call. Humanity had remembered, and the galaxy was about to learn just how much of the ancient builder civilization had survived. The Galactic Council chamber had become quieter than a graveyard. Only minutes earlier, Powerful leaders had laughed at humanity. Now nobody was laughing. The ancient builder archives had already shattered everything they believed about history. But the worst part was not the past. The worst part was happening right now. Across the giant screens, reports began arriving from every corner of the galaxy. Emergency alerts flashed continuously, one after another, faster than the Council could process them. A communications officer suddenly stood. His face had turned pale. "Speaker, we're receiving priority signals from 12 sectors." The Council speaker frowned, put them on screen. Immediately, the holographic display changed. A star system appeared. Gasps filled the chamber. An enormous structure floated near a distant sun. At first glance, it looked like a moon. Then people realized it was artificial. The structure was thousands of kilometers wide. Its metallic surface reflected sunlight like a giant mirror. Ancient symbols glowed across its hull. One symbol stood above all the others. A circle surrounded by 7 stars. The builder symbol, the human symbol, the same symbol Elena had shown only minutes earlier. "What is that?" somebody whispered. No one answered, because nobody knew. A second report appeared, then a third, then a fourth. Every screen showed something impossible. Hidden stations, forgotten shipyards, ancient satellites, gigantic orbital rings, massive structures buried inside asteroid fields. Thousands of builder installations were awakening across the galaxy. Many had remained hidden for millions of years. Now they were turning on, one by one, system by system, like sleeping giants opening their eyes. Fear spread through the chamber. The Orion Alliance representatives looked especially nervous. This was not part of their plan. They had expected political resistance, maybe economic sanctions. Not this. Never this. A military commander from the Varkon Dominion suddenly stood. His scales had lost their color. "My fleet is reporting movement near the outer belt." The display changed again. Everyone watched. Deep within a dark nebula, dozens of enormous objects emerged from clouds of gas and dust. At first they looked like asteroids. Then engines ignited. Blue light filled the darkness. The objects moved. They were ships, ancient ships, gigantic ships. Some were larger than entire cities. Others dwarfed modern battleships. The council chamber fell silent once more. The Varkon commanders stared at the screen. Those vessels shouldn't exist. But they did, and more were appearing every minute. Meanwhile, Elena remained perfectly calm. She showed no surprise, no fear, no excitement, almost as if she had expected all of this. The council speaker turned toward her. "What exactly are these machines?" Elena folded her hands. "Maintenance systems." Confusion appeared everywhere. "Maintenance systems?" the speaker repeated. Elena nodded. "Most people believe the galaxy functions naturally." The giant display shifted. A complex network appeared. Countless energy routes connected thousands of star systems. The image looked like a living organism. "It doesn't." The room listened carefully. For millions of years, builder systems have quietly maintained hyperspace routes. A scientist suddenly stood. His eyes widened. "That's impossible." Elena looked at him, then explained why hyperspace lanes remain stable after millions of years. The scientist opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no answer. Nobody did. Elena continued. "The routes require constant adjustment." The display zoomed closer. Tiny builder stations became visible throughout the network. Millions of them, hidden everywhere, invisible to modern sensors, working continuously, maintaining the foundations of galactic civilization. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Without those routes, interstellar travel would collapse. Trade would stop. Communication would fail. Entire economies would die. The galaxy depended on infrastructure it never knew existed. Infrastructure built by humanity. The realization hit hard, very hard. One representative slowly sat down. Another looked sick. The council had not tried to sell a weak civilization. They had tried to sell the civilization that quietly supported everything. Then another alarm sounded. Louder this time. More urgent. A communications officer rushed forward. "Emergency report from the Orion Alliance." Every eye turned toward the screen. The Orion ambassador looked nervous. What happened? The officer swallowed. One of your mining worlds just lost access to its hyperspace gate. Silence. The ambassador frowned. What? Another report arrived. Then another. Then another. 3 more systems. 5 more. 10 more. Entire regions were suddenly experiencing disruptions. Not destruction. Not attacks. Simple disconnections. Builder systems were rerouting traffic, adjusting pathways, ignoring previous access permissions. The machines were reorganized in the network, and nobody could stop them. Panic spread quickly. Several governments demanded explanations. Others demanded control. But every attempt to access builder systems failed. The installations responded to only one authority: humanity. The room grew colder, not physically, emotionally, because everyone understood what this meant. Humanity now possessed leverage greater than any military fleet, greater than any empire, greater than the Council itself. And yet, Elena had not threatened anyone. That frightened them most. The Council speaker finally spoke. What does humanity intend to do? The question hung in the air. Every representative waited. Every camera focused on Elena. Billions across the galaxy watched. The future might depend on her answer. Elena looked around the chamber. Then she spoke. Nothing. Confused murmurs spread immediately. The speaker frowned. Nothing. Elena nodded. These systems are not weapons. The giant display shifted once more. This time it showed builder stations repairing damaged stars, stabilizing planets, protecting habitats, maintaining ecosystems. The machines had never been built for war. They existed to preserve civilization, to help it survive. For millions of years they had quietly done their jobs, without recognition, without reward, without thanks. The chamber remained silent. Many representatives suddenly felt ashamed. Then a new alert appeared. Unlike the others, this one carried military priority. Every screen turned red. The communications officer looked terrified. Speaker, his voice shook. We have a problem. The council speaker stared at him. What problem? The officer looked toward the incoming report, then back at the speaker. The Varkon Dominion has mobilized its invasion fleet. The chamber exploded into chaos. What? Why? Are they insane? The display changed. Hundreds of warships appeared, then thousands. A massive armada was moving toward human territory. The Varkon military commander jumped to his feet. His face had become pale. This wasn't authorized. But nobody believed him. The fleet continued advancing. Weapons charged, engines blazing, a force large enough to conquer dozens of worlds. The council speaker turned toward Elena. For the first time, genuine fear appeared in his eyes. What happens now? The chamber fell silent. Everyone waited for her answer. Elena looked at the approaching fleet on the screen. Then she smiled. The same smile. The smile that had appeared before the vote. The smile that now terrified entire governments. And somewhere deep inside the galaxy's forgotten regions, ancient defense systems that had slept for 4 million years finally received a command: protect humanity. Moments later, thousands of builder war machines began to wake. The moment the builder defense systems received their command, the galaxy held its breath. Every screen inside the Galactic Council chamber displayed the same image: the massive Varkon invasion fleet. Thousands of warships moved through hyperspace toward human territory. Their engines burned like stars. Their weapons were fully charged. Entire planetary assault groups traveled behind them. It was one of the largest military operations in modern history. The Varkon Dominion officially claimed it was a defensive maneuver. Nobody believed that. Not anymore. Fear spread through the council. Many representatives expected a war unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. After all, humanity had just revealed itself as the heir to the builder civilization. If the Varkans attacked now, humanity would surely respond. And if builder technology entered a full-scale war, entire sectors could disappear. The council speaker looked toward Elena. For the first time since the crisis began, he seemed desperate. You must stop this. Elena calmly folded her hands. Humanity didn't start it. The speaker had no answer, because she was right. The invasion fleet continued advancing. Meanwhile, aboard the Varkon flagship Iron Dominion, Supreme Commander Krass stood proudly on the command deck. Unlike the politicians back at the council, Krass believed action solved everything. He did not care about ancient history. He did not care about builder legends. He cared about power. And right now, humanity represented the greatest source of power in the galaxy. If the Varkans captured Earth first, they could control builder technology before anyone else. That was his plan. His officers gathered around the tactical display. Human territory glowed ahead. One young officer looked nervous. "Commander, are we certain this is wise?" Krass narrowed his eyes. "Explain." The officer swallowed. "The builder systems have awakened." Krass laughed. "So, sir, we know nothing about them." Krass turned toward the stars. Machines are machines. The officer remained silent. But deep inside, he felt something was terribly wrong. Back on Earth, the situation looked strangely calm. There were no mass evacuations, no panic, no military mobilization. Citizens watched the news. Children went to school. Factories continued operating. The world looked almost peaceful. This confused every alien observer. How could humanity remain calm while an invasion fleet approached? The answer was simple. Most humans trusted Elena, and Elena wasn't worried. Far beneath Earth's surface, inside the ancient builder memory vault, millions of systems continued awakening. Rows of forgotten machines filled endless chambers. Artificial intelligences activated one after another. Ancient processors came online. Sensors that had slept for 4 million years began scanning the galaxy. One message repeated continuously throughout the network. Humanity confirmed. Authority recognized. Protection protocols active. Across the galaxy, builder installations responded instantly. Thousands of hidden stations shifted into new positions. Massive satellites aligned themselves. Energy fields activated. Defense grids awakened. Not for war, for protection. Meanwhile, the Varkon fleet entered human-controlled space. Commander Krass smiled. No resistance. The stars ahead appeared completely empty. No warships. No defenses. Nothing. His confidence grew. "See," he said to his officers. "The humans are bluffing." Several officers nodded. Perhaps the builder threat had been exaggerated. Perhaps humanity truly was weak. Then an alarm sounded. The bridge became silent. A sensor officer looked confused. "Commander?" Krass frowned. "What is it?" The officer stared at his screen. "I don't understand." Another alarm sounded. Then another. Then dozens more. Across the fleet, sensors began reporting impossible readings. Unknown objects were appearing. Everywhere, the tactical display filled with signals. Thousands of signals. Then tens of thousands. The officers froze. The objects had not entered the system. They had already been there, hidden, watching, waiting. Now they were revealing themselves. Massive builder platforms emerged from deep space. Gigantic structures appeared near planets. Ancient defense stations activated around moons. The Varkon fleet suddenly found itself surrounded. Complete silence filled the bridge. One officer whispered, "By the stars!" Commander Krass stared at the display. For the first time in years, fear touched his mind. The builder network was enormous, far larger than anyone imagined. A communication request suddenly appeared. Origin, Builder Defense Command. The bridge became silent. Krass hesitated, then accepted the signal. A hologram appeared. It was not a human. It was an artificial intelligence, an ancient machine mind. Its appearance resembled a glowing figure made entirely of light. When it spoke, its voice echoed across every Varkon vessel. Unauthorized military operation detected. The fleet remained silent. Human territory is under builder protection. Krass stepped forward. "I am Supreme Commander Krass of the Varkon Dominion." The machine stared at him. Identity acknowledged. Krass raised his head proudly. "I claim this region under military authority. The machine remained expressionless. Then it replied, "Request denied." A chill spread through the bridge. The AI's voice contained no anger, no emotion, just absolute certainty. Crass activated his fleet-wide channel. "Prepare all weapons." Officers obeyed immediately. Thousands of weapon systems powered up. Energy surged across the armada. The AI watched silently. Then it spoke once more. Hostile action detected. The stars around the fleet suddenly changed. Every builder platform activated simultaneously. Light filled space. Not explosions. Not attacks. Something stranger. Reality itself seemed to bend. The Varkon officers stared in horror. Their sensors stopped functioning. Navigation systems failed. Weapons powered down. Engines shut off. Every ship lost control instantly. Panic erupted across the fleet. What happened? "I can't move." Systems offline. Crass gripped his command console. Restore control. Nobody could, because the builder network wasn't fighting them. It was simply overriding them. The technology gap was so vast that resistance became meaningless. Then the impossible happened. One by one, the Varkon ships vanished. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Vanished. Entire battleships disappeared from their positions, then appeared elsewhere, hundreds of light years away. The builder systems were relocating the fleet, removing it from combat. Within minutes, the invasion force no longer existed as a military threat. The greatest fleet in the region had been defeated without a single shot fired. Back in the council chamber, complete silence ruled. Every representative stared at the reports. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. Humanity had won, without firing a weapon, without destroying a ship, without killing a single person. The council speaker slowly sat down. His hands were shaking. The balance of power had changed forever. Then a new message appeared on every screen in the galaxy. It came directly from Elena Ward. Her face appeared before trillions of viewers. The chamber watched carefully. The galaxy listened. Elena looked into the camera. Then she said, "Humanity does not seek revenge." The room became perfectly silent. But there is one final truth the galaxy has not yet learned. A strange expression appeared on her face. Not anger, not pride, something deeper. Something that made even the oldest leaders nervous. Because whatever came next was even bigger than the builders themselves. The entire galaxy waited. Trillions of beings stared at their screens. The Galactic Council chamber remained silent. Nobody interrupted. Nobody spoke. After everything that had happened, everyone understood one simple fact. When Elena Ward spoke, history changed. Her image stood at the center of every display in the galaxy. Behind her floated the ancient builder symbol, the circle surrounded by 7 stars, the symbol that had terrified empires. The symbol that had awakened forgotten machines. The symbol that had proven humanity's impossible past. Yet Elena's face showed no triumph, no pride, no desire for revenge. Only calm. The same calm that had existed from the very beginning. Finally, she spoke. "The galaxy believes the builders were a civilization." The council listened carefully. Elena slowly shook her head. "That is not true." Confused whispers spread through the chamber. The builders weren't a civilization? Then what were they? The giant display behind Elena suddenly changed. Ancient images appeared, older than anything shown before, older than the first builder cities, older than the first colonies, older than recorded time itself. The images showed a young humanity, small colonies, primitive spacecraft, early exploration vessels. The humans looked ordinary. Nothing special, nothing powerful. Several representatives exchanged confused looks. Why was Elena showing this? Then she answered, the builders were never rulers. A new image appeared. Ancient humans helping alien civilizations, sharing technology, building infrastructure, repairing damaged worlds, teaching younger species. The room watched silently. Humanity had not conquered the stars. Humanity had connected them. Another image appeared. A dying alien civilization struggling to survive. Human engineers arrived. Within years, the civilization recovered. Another image. A world suffering environmental collapse. Humans restored it. Another image. Two alien species fighting a terrible war. Humans negotiated peace. The pattern became obvious. Again, and again, and again. Everywhere humanity went, they built, not for themselves, for others. The council chamber grew quieter. Many representatives felt uncomfortable because this was not the image of humanity they had believed. For years, many governments had treated humans as newcomers, as outsiders, as a species that should know its place. Now, they were learning the truth. Humanity had spent millions of years helping civilizations rise, without demanding worship, without demanding control, without demanding obedience. The builder civilization had not been an empire. It had been a network, a family, a partnership stretching across the stars. Elena's voice softened. The builder mission was simple. Everyone listened. Help others become stronger. Silence filled the chamber. Then one representative stood, an elderly alien scholar. His voice trembled. If that is true, he hesitated. Then why hide? The question echoed across the room. Many wanted the same answer. Why disappear? Why allow history to forget? Elena looked at him. Then she activated one final archive. The chamber darkened. A recording appeared. An ancient recording. Millions of years old. For a moment, nobody recognized the figure. Then gasps spread to the audience. The recording showed a human woman. She wore builder clothing. Behind her stood stars. Entire galaxies. Her eyes looked tired, as if she carried the weight of countless worlds. The ancient woman began speaking. The translation systems activated immediately. Her voice echoed through the chamber. If you're seeing this, the room became completely silent. Then humanity survived. The woman smiled sadly. The recording continued. We built many wonders. Images appeared. Ring worlds. Artificial stars, living planets, technology beyond imagination. But we made one mistake. The chamber listened carefully. We became too powerful. A chill spread through the room. The woman continued. When one civilization holds all knowledge, others stop growing. Nobody moved. When one civilization solves every problem, others stop learning. Several representatives slowly lowered their heads. The message felt uncomfortably familiar. The woman sighed. So we made a choice. The display shifted. Builder systems shutting down. Archives being hidden. Knowledge being locked away. The entire civilization deliberately stepping back. We gave younger civilizations a chance to find their own path. The chamber remained silent. We did not vanish because we failed. The woman's voice grew stronger. We vanished because the galaxy deserved a chance to succeed without us. Shock spread everywhere. Humanity had not disappeared from weakness. They had disappeared intentionally. The realization changed everything. The ancient recording reached its final message. If humanity ever returns, the woman smiled. Judge them not by their power. The stars behind her glowed brightly. Judge them by what they choose to do with it. Then the recording ended. Complete silence followed. No one spoke. No one moved. For several long moments, the entire galaxy simply sat there, thinking, understanding, realizing. The builders had left behind unimaginable power. Humanity could reclaim it all. Every station, every fleet, every defense system, every secret. Nobody could stop them. Nobody could challenge them. Nobody could even resist them. Yet humanity had chosen something else. Peace. The council speaker slowly stood. His voice sounded weak. Humanity. He paused. For the first time, the most powerful political leader in the galaxy looked humbled. What happens now? Every representative waited. This was the question that mattered. Not the past. Not the builders. The future. Elena looked around the chamber. At the leaders who had voted against humanity. At the governments that had tried to sell an entire species. At the civilizations that had underestimated humans for decades. Then she smiled. The same smile. But now it looked different. Now it looked hopeful. We moved forward. The chamber remained silent. Elena continued. The builder systems will remain active. Several representatives, but she wasn't finished. Not for control. The tension eased slightly. For cooperation. The displays changed once more. New projects appeared. Medical technology capable of curing diseases. Energy systems that could power worlds forever. Terraforming networks capable of restoring dead planets. Food production systems that could end starvation. Transportation systems faster than anything currently known. The chamber stared in amazement. Humanity could transform the galaxy, not through conquest, through progress. The council speaker slowly nodded. Around him, representatives began standing, one after another, then another, then another. Soon the entire chamber was standing, not from fear, from respect. The same governments that had voted to sell humanity now applauded, not because they had to, because they finally understood. Humanity's greatest strength had never been its technology. It had never been the builder fleets. It had never been the ancient machines. Humanity's greatest strength was the same thing it had always been. The desire to build rather than destroy. The desire to help rather than rule. The desire to create a future everyone could share. As applause filled the chamber, Elena looked toward the stars displayed above. Somewhere out there, the ancient builders had once dreamed of a united galaxy. After 4 million years, that dream was finally becoming real. And for the first time since the vote that shocked humanity, the future looked brighter than the past.